articles. I'm first going to speak about Articles 6 of the Animal Stock Theft Act. It identifies the parties and the animals involved in the transaction of selling the cattle. As you can look at the document in front of you, you see number 1 is the owner's detail of what must come on that document. There's everything: his ID number, his farm number, his physical address, his phone number. So everything of the owner must be on. If you can see number 1, that is the owner's details. Number 2 is where are the cattle going, the auction house. The auction house name and the location and where it is must be in at number 2. Then if you look at number 3, at point number 3, that is the vehicle registration number, the model, and the number plate. Everything of that vehicle must be filled in at number 3. Then you go to number 4, you'll see that is where the transporter, he signed it and he put his name in full at that. So he takes basically charge of that cattle at that moment. Number 5 is very important. It's the quantity of the cattle, the breed of the cattle, and the sex of the cattle and the color. And then very important, the brand mark must be clearly stated and written out very neatly and nicely, so there's no gray areas what the brand mark must be. And then also very important is the VAT registration. Are you registered for VAT or no? So, and then number 7, I don't think you can see it on your screen, but number 7, right at the bottom of the page, the owner has to sign that document. That is a document to identify the parties involved in the transaction of selling the cattle. That is our first page. Are you guys still with me, Ernest?
Yes, Paul, I'm still with you, and I can see everything on the screen.
Okay. Then I think maybe if there's any questions, are we going to first finish the presentation and then ask the question, or are we going to ask questions as we go along?
We will actually take questions just after presentation, so that even if someone has a question regarding certain slide, we can always go back, so to avoid prolonging your presentation. Okay.
Then we are going to our second page. It's page 5. That is article section 8 gives permission for the transportation of the livestock. And there you can see clearly the name, the physical address, the ID number, the cell number, and you can see the permission granted, and that's the owner and the transporter. If the owner and the transporter is the same guy, then both of them will sign on both places. But most of the time, the transporter and the owner are not the same guy. So this is just the permission from the farm to the auction pens. That is article, we call it in our terms, Article 8 of the Stock Theft Act of 57 of 1959. That is permission for the transportation of animals. So this is just to say that you take from this place to that place, the date received, and the signature of the owner and the signature of the transporter. If the transporter and the owner is the same guy, he signed both places. That is all. It's actually very simple and very easy. Okay. And then from there on, we turn over. Then there is The health attestation of the identification document. The health attestation is required from the owner to declare the health status of the cattle or the animals, the small, like the goats and sheep that are going to be sold in the auction. So the owner signed that thing. In some cases, you'll get the vet to sign it. In other cases, I'm going to explain to you now. The owner will know what it just helped. This health declaration just help us that the next owner of the animal know what is going on, what was the previous status of the animal, what was being injected to the animal, where is the health status of this animal is standing at the moment. So in many cases, some farmers are reluctant to fill this form in because they don't know how to fill it in. It's actually simple. You can see there the owner or a representative, the farm manager also can fill it in, and the date. Then we go to the diseases. There's brucellosis, tuberculosis, and you can go on and on and on. And very important there at number 14, you'll see foot and mouth disease. Now that is a very important issue to us because foot and mouth have closed the auctions and have bring the meat industry to its knees. So we are very adamant to look at. That's why the biosecurity law came in place, but I'll go there now a little bit further. But for instance, say there's an animal with lumpy skin disease that comes to an auction. You're not allowed to. We are not allowed to take that animal, and the biosecurity officer will put that animal in one kraal and it must go back to the farm. So make sure that the animals that you present at auction are free of diseases and free of ticks. It's very important. Sometimes we get animals that got a lot of ticks on them, and the owners just bring them to the auction. We as auction house won't accept that animal. So make sure that they are free of ticks, and don't be scared to fill in the form. If you haven't tested for brucellosis, say no. So at least that we can know this animal wasn't tested, so that the animal can be tested. Maybe the new owner, not maybe, in 80% of when the animal was purchased, the new owner will test it. But if it's for slaughtering, it will just go for slaughtering. But we need to know what is going on. So we ask the farmers, please, to fill in that form as good as possible, so we as auctioneers can forward that form to the new buyer. And because a lot of times the buyer will ask, was the animals injected for lumpy skin of Rift Valley fever? Then if it's on the form, it's actually very easy for us to just state it. Now, if the animal come at the auction, and then the animal will be inspected by our biosecurity officer for any diseases like lumpy skin and foot and mouth and all those, and any other thing that is that we can clearly see on the animal that there is a problem. And after the animal is in good standing, you will sign that form, and that form will come to the office. That is our health attestation that is required. So, but please, we are going to accept animals, but just fill in what you really know that you've done. Just don't say yes, 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 and in some cases you've done nothing. So just be honest. So if we're honest on this document, then we can take it further, and we can really take our cattle and small stock farming to a higher level. I think then we can go to the next page. It's now at page 7. This is the declaration accompanying the health attestation. The owner of the cattle declares, certifies that the cattle are healthy and legally allowed to be sold. This is a legally binding document. It's just some farmers got a vet to sign it, but at the auction, if the animals climb off at the auction, the biosecurity officer will sign it after they've inspected the cattle, and then the owner also must sign it that the information is correct on that health declaration. That's all actually what it says. And very important, the bank details of the owner must be written in his own handwriting. Otherwise, there can be a problem with that. And we also asked the guys to WhatsApp us the bank details, because sometimes, with this fraud in the computer business, we've seen that they can change the bank details instantly. So we always ask the guy to WhatsApp us the bank details and fill it in by hand. And that's all about that. Page 7. Now we can go to page 8. After 2019, after the outbreak of foot and mouth, there was a biosecurity law that the government put in place, and after they've been purchased, or after you're allowed to sell them, have to be at your premises for 28 days before selling it, just not on auction to anybody. So if you buy an animal, that animal has to stand at your farm, actually in quarantine in a separate camp for 28 days before you introduce that animal to your animals. And you are not allowed to sell that animal so say for instance you buy 10 cows and calves and you put them 28 days in your on your farm, you're not allowed to sell any animals in that 28 days. So that 28 days must recycle. If you ask, some people will ask, but why 28 days? Now the virus of the foot and mouth, the SAT virus of the foot and mouth, got the cycle of 14 days. So that's why we made it days. So if you miss the first cycle of 14 days, then we'll definitely get it on the second cycle of 14 days. So that's why all animals must stand 28 days after being purchased. No animals will be received at an auction if they haven't been isolated from other animals for 28 days, according to the Biosecurity Act of South Africa. According to the Stock Theft Act, animals must be branded with the owner's brand mark within 14 days after purchase, except for religious and slaughter purposes. Then you've got a 3-day period. If I can go further, Section 5 of the Stock Theft Act was amended in 1992 to allow transportation of animals at night. Now, Ernest, this is giving us a big headache. All the guys that are transporting animals, the police are interpreting this law totally wrong. And to them, no animals are allowed to be transported at night. They don't know their laws, and that's why I brought in this point. The act was amended in 1992 to allow the transportation of animals at night. But in the same time, any person who for purposes of trade makes or accepts delivery between the hours of sunset and sunrise of any stock, or produced, sold, or purchased, or otherwise disposed of or acquired by him in any other matter than at the public sale, shall be guilty of an offence. So that animals can only go to an auction or travel from an auction at night, not for the above mentioned purposes that I've just stated. I hope it's very clear what I've said here. This is very important. The 14 days after you buy an animal and you want to farm with it, you have to brand it. And then the 28 days, that's after you purchase the animal has to stand at your farm premises, and you're not allowed to sell any cattle off that farm within 28 days. So if you can go then to page 9, the required marking of cattle for sale. Only animals with permanent markings are accepted at auctions. So clearly mark your animals. Ear tags and other custom markings are not accepted. They are only for management purposes. We as auctioneers only work on brand marks with cattle, no tattoos, but the sheep and goats have to be tattooed. If you can go to page number 10. The letter size of the brand marks can differ from 40 millimeters to 100 millimeters. What some farmers do, like very Clark, he takes the small letters and he brand mark his calves with small letters, the 40 millimeters. So as they grow, the mark also grow. I can just say the sequence for branding by the different owners. The first owner mark on the left hind leg. Now, if I can just quickly talk, we're also going to have a Farmers Day on the 14th of March. We will give a demonstration of the branding of animals. Some guys they brand on top of the, I can say, yeah, at the hind on the hind of the cow or the animal on top. The best thing is to brand low on the leg, because when the feedlots buy your animal and you've been branding on top, they get less for their skins. So they don't want to buy your calves, or they're going to deduct the premium from your calves. So on the demonstrations, if you can brand as low as possible on the first brand mark must be on the left hind leg. Then the second owner must brand on the left front leg. Then the third owner must brand on the right hind leg, and the fourth owner on the right front leg. Now, we get it on auctions where if a guy bought animals, he brand mark his own brand mark over that other brand mark. That's totally wrong. And make sure that you don't overbrand the animals. Most of the upcoming farmers overbrand the animals. You can't read the brand mark clearly, and it's like it's cladded. So you can only see it's branded, but you can't see the mark quite clearly. Now, in my experience, what I do with the brand mark is the iron must be very hot, and then it must be reddish, and then 1, 2, 3, and then take it away. And directly after that, I put an ice pack on it. Then the blood at the back of that skin quickly cool down, and then the brand mark is nicely, and it doesn't tend to clad. So I'm just giving you a tip there for the upcoming farmers. That's the easiest way to brand your cattle. Then you must have a brand mark certificate. But let's turn over to page 11. Documents for payment. All right. After your animal has been received at an auction and it went through our biosecurity system, and biosecurity officer have inspected your animal, it will get a number. So if you are number 1, your animal's going to get a paint number of number 1 stamped on the animal. So you will be the first seller on that animal. If you are number 50, the last guy, your animals will be number 50. So, but we'll only accept the animals after the biosecurity officer have ticked all the boxes and your animal is in good standing order. Now, we need a copy of the ID of the person to be paid. It must be the owner of the animals. The brand mark certificate of person to be paid indicated. Same brand mark as an animal sold. Same ID as a copy of owner ID presented. Bank account details of person to be paid with proof of account in same name as owner of animals. ID of account holder, same as owner's ID, same as ID on brand mark certificate. All I can say that if an animal is transported, I just wanted to go back to that point, there has to be a copy of the brand mark certificate in the truck. There has to be a copy of the ID number of the owner in the truck and the required transportation documents. That's section 6 and section 8 and the health attestation. That must be in the truck that are transporting the animals. Now, some of our clients are, no, you got our transport documentation, we're not going to fill it in again. That's not correct. You have to fill in every new transaction or every time you take animals, even if you sell it out of hand, there must be an Article 6, Article 8, and you can use the auction houses documents to transport your animals. It's just from where to where stated clearly, but that has to be in the truck or the vehicle that transport that animals. It's very important. So if a police officer come to you and you can't produce that documentation, you'll either get a fine or you'll be suspected of stealing cattle or small stock. And then we go next, notes on brand marks. The ID, I've just done these points. I went a little bit forward. This is on page 12. Sometimes the guys lose their brand mark certificates. We at Undercock put the brand mark certificates on our system, and we are also helping the farmers to register at where they register the brand marks. So we are helping them. But if there's a problem and your brand mark have been lost or stolen, your bag have been stolen or something like that, then you have to go to the police and make an affidavit and stated that this was your brand mark and it was stolen or lost, and then you can bring that affidavit to the auction and we can help you, but so we can help you with that. So that's the route to go if you got a problem, but not if you haven't. You must have a brand mark before you can do that. Okay. Then if you turn over, and that's more or less my presentation, Ernest. I made it quick. I don't want to make it a lengthy thing that the people don't understand. I try to make it simple and understandable for the people. Is there any questions from your side?
Thank you, Paul. Very much appreciated presentation. I hope the farmers themselves, they've learned something, one or two things, because they always have confusions about the requirements that the auctioneers are expected of them. So I'm going to look into our inbox. Before going to inbox, I'm going to ask everyone who's here who has got a question to just raise up your hand. And once your hand is up, you will be noted and you will be given a platform to ask a question. And I'm going to go to inbox as I'm waiting for others to ask questions. I see from our inbox, Hopolang Hwaisimang says, good day and thanks for the informative session. Will the presentation be made available? Do these requirements, okay, the presentation, to answer your question, the presentation will be made available. The whole meeting is recorded and it will be published on our YouTube channel, which is called Red Meat Koluma. So for everyone who didn't manage to attend as well, so that they can be able to listen to or to watch the presentation on their spare time. So the question that he's asking here is, do these requirements also apply to animals bought directly from the breeders? That is a question for you, Paul.
Yes, if you buy direct from a breeder, it's the same requirements. You have to have Article 6, you have to have Article 8. The breeder must give you a health declaration, and the same rules applied. From breeder to the new owner, it's the same rules, exactly the same rules. There's no difference. So what I can just state, if you are if you bought from a private, if it's a private deal, just make sure that a vet or a biosecurity or a veterinary guy see the animals and that you are getting the right animals and that they are branded. Otherwise, you will be buying stolen stuff if they're not branded. So make sure that all the requirements that I've been talking over today, it's 100% for private deals. It must go like that. There's no other way. I can just state also that if there's a middleman in this deal, if he's not registered with APAC, he's not allowed to take commission. So you have to be registered at APAC to get commission. So sometimes you get, we call it the bucky and the cell phone guys. They just phone and they sell animals left, right, and center, but they're not registered with APAC. So they must be registered with APAC to get commission on that transaction.
Thank you, Paul. I see Lerasa Tometsani, your hand is up. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you for the lovely presentation and good morning to everyone. What I wanted to find out with the brand marking, is it possible for you to demonstrate if there is a picture around where exactly on the lower part of the leg would you recommend that we brand mark our cattle?
Okay, I will try and get a picture quickly. Let me just see if I got a picture here. Just hold on a moment. Yes, I will get the picture and I will show you exactly where it is. So it will help a lot if you can. All right, we've got a lot of pictures here. Go back. Can you see? Can you see? I'm going to show you some pictures now, and then I can, while we're waiting, I can just, what I've got to mention that stud cattle got a different, they got their brand mark certificates from the from Stambuk. So they're not with the registrar. All right. If you look here, you just go to an animal, any animal where they can see. All right. Can you see what's going on there on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Now, if you go right to the screen, you'll see ABC. Can you see ABC there?
Absolutely, you can see.
Okay. Now that ABC must be as low as possible, nearly where the leg. If I can show you there, can you see my little marker there, a little bit lower? Yes.
Yes.
The ABC, if you can brand it there, a little bit higher, but in that vicinity, that's where you have to brand mark your animals. So then your animal then the feedlots will pay more, or they won't deduct it from the price that they are going to pay for the animal, because they are making skins of that, and they sell it to the companies like BMW and Mercedes and Toyota and stuff like that. So, and they get deducted for 500 Rand if it's over branded like on top there. So that actually is totally wrong all the place. So if you can just mark the animals where I've been showing you, you will have a better chance to get a better price for your animal. Is it clear for you?
100%.
Okay. Thanks for the question. It was a good question. The most people are marking, when you see ABC, they still mark it higher there. Can you go up there, please? Yeah, they mark the animals there. Yes, there. Yeah. That's where the most people mark their animals, because it's the easiest to brand there. So it's not against the law, but for selling purposes, it's better to mark where I've just showed you. If you can mark it there, and it's less stressful for the animal also. So that is recommend as an auctioneer. I'm also a farmer, by the way, but that is what I will recommend. I hope it's clear.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Our next question comes from Ernest. It's not me, it's the other Ernest. So it's asking, do the rules allow selling on behalf of someone else? And let's say he gives an example. Let's say the farmer is unavailable. Can someone sell on their behalf at the auctions?
He can sell on his behalf. He must just bring a copy of the ID of the owner and the brand mark certificate of the owner, and then just a letter of all the particulars of the owner and the cell phone number of the owner, and so we can contact him. But he is allowed to sell on behalf of an owner. Sometimes the owner is not available and he sends his family or somebody else. The main thing is we need the brand mark, and the copy of the ID must comply. So if the cattle is stolen, the thief definitely won't have the brand mark certificate and the copy of the owner. So yes, he is allowed to sell on behalf of the owner.
Thank you. And his second question is, I note you, Tolo, as a gear. I'll come to you just after this. Also, can you sell animals that have been injected with terramycin or similar substance immediately, or should you wait for a number of days to pass?
You can sell them, but you must state it on that. When you offload the animal, you must tell the the biosecurity officer that you have injected the animal with terramycin, because what happened now, say there's a cow that can be slaughtered and there's an slaughterhouse, slaughter pole sitting there and buying that animal, and it has been injected with terramycin, then that guy can't sell that animal. So it's you can do that, but it's fair to do it. So the best thing to do is on the bottle of terramycin or whatever you have been injected in the animal, there will definitely be, say, a period that must go by, like 21 days before the animal are fit for human consumption. So I will say, yes, you can do it, but it's only fair to, if you have injected with terramycin, make it clear that you've injected it with terramycin. On calves, it won't be a problem, but especially on slaughter animals, it will be a problem. So rather wait the waiting period that states on the medicine. So every bottle of medicine, there's a little pamphlet on it, and there's a period that you must wait before it's fit for human consumption.
Thank you, Paul. Tolo Ezekiel, your hand was up. Could you please ask the question? Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thanks, Ernest and Paul, for the good presentation. I think I've got two questions. One is about those documents that Paul mentioned that you need to complete before taking your cattle to the auction. Where do one get those documents? Article 6, 8, and health and declaration documents. Where do one get those documents? Okay, my second question. Can I ask the last one, maybe?
Okay, can I answer the first question? Is it possible? Normally what happens is the clients phone me or somebody from the company. Normally in that area, we've got a marketer that's working in that area where the auction is. So for instance, in Lepalala, we've got 2 marketers. So you can just WhatsApp or phone the offices and give an email address, then we email the transporting documents, Article 6, Article 8, and the health declaration is actually on one document, and then you can just fill it in. So we email it to the people, and it's also available at the auction. When you come at the auction for the first time, you can take 2 or 3 of those documents and make yourself copies of it. Yeah. But I can send you some of it, Ernest. If you can send me or you can, I can give you our office number, and then you can, and we can send you some of those documents.
Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Okay, the office number is 014 004 0028 or 29. And just give your email address, and then we will ASAP will email you the necessary documents. It's easy. We can even send it to you, Ernest, and if there's any requirements, it's already done. It's already sent it to you, Ernest. Ernest that are talking to me now. So then you can also give it out to the farmers, so they can use it. Yeah.
Your second question is again.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ernest, and thanks for your explanation, Paul. Maybe my second question is, like I mentioned earlier, that the presentation is good. It's only that maybe some of us, we've gotten to know some of the things late. On the regulation of brand mark, personally, I see that I have been doing it so wrong. As the first owner, applying the brand mark on the right hind leg, Is that a problem? Does it impact anything? If I can ask that question.
Now, if the first owner branded on the right hind leg, then just go to the second owner, then you must brand mark yours on the left front leg. So if in any case you bought an animal and the brand mark should have been on the left hind leg and is now on the right hind leg, just put your brand mark on the left front leg. But also low on that. If you can go back to the pictures, I'll just show you where you have to brand it. If you can go to the animal in the front, I just want to show you a picture. Let's go to this picture. This picture here. Then you can. I'm going to show you. Yes. Then you can brand it as low there. You can brand it there. Can you see it there?
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, then more or less you can brand it there, but please don't over brand it. The problem is with over branding is what happened is the people doesn't make their irons hot enough, and then they keep branding the animal, and then they say no, the iron is not hot enough. Now then they make it very hot, and then they brand it over and over and over. If the iron is red and it's hot, it must be red. You can just count. You can just press it with a nice pressure on the brand mark iron. Just count 1, 2, 3. That's sufficient. It will be through, and that's it. So then directly put ice pack on that brand mark, and it cools the blood down on the other side of the brand mark. For me it helps. I'm doing it with all my animals. So it's just a thing that it's only a tip. It's not a written thing that you have to do. It's only a tip that I'm giving you guys. That's working for me. I hope it's clear. Is there any other question?
Quite clear. Thank you, Paul, for clarifying that. I hope Dole is satisfied as well. So the next question is, I see Pangi. Pangi, your hand is up. You are also welcome to ask a question. Just unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning. I joined it a little bit late. The question that I have is around the traceability. And
so just say again, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Yes, Pangi, traceability, yes.
Traceability and the animal records and so on. Say, if you now bring the animal to the auction and you got all your records, your vaccination records and so on, do you actually get a better price or not? Is that considered at all?
Yeah, it's considered. The feedlots and the people that buy that animals, they get that at the stage. They can ask the office at any time. We get it basically on every day. The guys will ask what was this cattle been injected with. Even especially the feedlots that buy the animals and the slaughter poles and houses. They want to know was it injected, especially like the previous guy asked, can I sell a cow that is injected with terramycin? You can, but you must declare it, because if the auction house buy that cow, you can do nothing with it then you at least have to stand 28 days. I think that's the time for terramycin. And in that 28 days, or 21 days, the Stock Theft Act clearly states, then you have to brand that animal, because if you buy an animal in 14 days, you have to brand that animal. So you'll have to brand that animal before you send it to the slaughtering poles. And yeah, so yeah, I hope I can answer your question.
Are you answered, Pangi?
Yeah, no, I've got it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Paul, I just have a question that is linked to what you just asked now. that is related to, according to the Stock Theft Act of Animal, that says animal must be branded with the owner's brand mark within 14 days after the purchase. So what happens to someone who just buy and sell? Would you take animals from someone who just bought animals just before the deadline of 14 days? Do you take those animals, and what are the documentation that person must produce?
No, you cannot do that, because then the Biosecurity Act comes in place. Any animal that has been bought must stand 28 days. Understand? So the Biosecurity Act states clearly that if anybody buys an animal, except for religious or slaughtering purposes, that animal have to stand 28 days. So if that animal stands 28 days, you have to brand that animal. So the two acts work together. I hope it's clear.
Very clear, very clear.
Yeah.
I see another question from our inbox is Kolofelo is asking on the back of Paki's question, what are the major practices determinants or that determines price?
The major practice that determine price is the quality of an animal. That's the main thing. And also the condition of the animal. That's the two main things that determine price. And then that to get that extra 10 or 15%, if you can present all those other stuff, what you've injected, they've been dehorned. And if you farm properly of the animals, you'll definitely get an extra rand or two per kilo. And the guy that, just say for instance, you take the same calves with the same weight out of the same herd, and half of the calves are dehorned and the other half of the calves are not dehorned. The calves that are dehorned are going to go at least a rand a kilo more than the calves that are not dehorned. Just to make it for an easy example.
Absolutely. Any question? Thanks, Paul, for clarifying that as well. Any other question from anyone else? Or can we wrap the discussion? Last question, Ezekiel, you can go.
Ernest, I think I heard earlier Paul saying, when you know that you want to sell a cattle, you have to quarantine. And I was thinking, for those now on a communal land, it's gonna be a challenging task. What then?
No, it's not quarantine if you sell. If you bought, if I can rectify your answer, I think you got me wrong. If you are buying animals and that animals come to your farm, new animals are introduced to that communal land. Say your neighbor are buying animals and you don't know where they are coming from. The law states that they have to stand 28 days before you can sell any cattle out of that communal farm. So if there's any cattle introduced to that communal farm, you'll have to wait 28 days before you can sell any cattle, because it's just to prevent foot and mouth. So what happens if the guy buy animals and the animals are carriers of foot and mouth, and then the whole village or the whole communal land will be infected with foot and mouth. That's why you guys will have to wait 28 days. So it's not to sell. So if that communal cattle, there was no other animals introduced into that communal cattle for the previous 28 days, you can sell automatically. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think everyone is clarified with the questions that they had. I would like to take this opportunity and thank Paul van Vuren for your time that you just gave to us as the red meat industry to come and share the knowledge in terms of requirements for selling cattle at auctions. We really appreciate your time, and we understand that you are very busy. You at times, or most of the time, have a very busy schedule, but you just gave us just a little bit of your time to come and assist the farmers. So we really, really appreciate your effort, and we hope to meet you somewhere. I heard that you are having a Farmers' Day somewhere in Vela Vela on the 14th.
It's on the 14th of March at our auction pens at Vela Vela. Everybody is welcome. We do it in conjunction with the Popo Agriculture and Rural Development Department. So the day will go through the selling and buying at auctions, red water disease, the stock theft, bull selection, demonstrations, and current beef will give an educational video. They've got a few educational videos for upcoming farmers and rural farmers and any farmer. That is a lot of stuff that old farmers can also learn about.
Absolutely.
We will send it to you, Ernest, so you can just, if somebody wants it, you can just pass it on.
Absolutely. Yes, I will appreciate that. And I will share it with other farmers. But for farmers who are here, just note the date down, so that if you are closer to Vela Vela, or if you can travel to that side, so that you can be able to get the information. So to repeat,
it will be held at Andre Cox auction pens at Vela Vela. It's on the old road just past the mall. It's about 3 kilometers out of Vela Vela on the old road towards Pretoria.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. Unless you have got other recommendations that you want to leave for the farmers, or any other dates or something that happened on your schedule. But we are very happy with the input that you gave to the farmers today. And we hope that one day you're gonna come and give us information that the farmers may require regarding to market access and so forth. So we really appreciate your effort.
Thanks, Ernest. It was a real privilege for me to share the little bit that I know about the cattle business and the auctioneering business with you guys. And all I can say, I know it's sometimes very difficult in the rural areas, but the guys must try and buy good bulls or get good bulls so you can upgrade your animals. It's very important that the quality of the animals must be upgraded, because like I've said, an animal of good quality eat exactly the same grass and need exactly the same requirements and assistance than the animal that are of not so good quality. So it's very important that if the guys want to beef up their cattle farming projects, that they are buying good bulls, and if they need any information and help, and they can just maybe take a video of their cows, and I will tell them what breed I think they can use on their cows to get them more kgs per animal and stuff like that. So crossbreeding is also it's a very good thing for the feedlots and for the future of our markets in South Africa.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Paul. And thank you everyone who managed to come and attend this month's webinar. We have other webinars that will take place on a monthly basis. We will invite other expertise depending on the subject matter of the day. So for today, we appreciate your time. We appreciate the question that you managed to ask Paul. And we appreciate Paul for clarifying all the questions that were asked. And if no further questions, I would like to conclude our meeting for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Ernest.
Ernest.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
bye.
you, Ernest. We really appreciate it. And have a nice day.
You too, Paul.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. You must come and drink coffee when you pass here.
I will come there. I'll be there tomorrow. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, Ernest. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.